Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us tonight. We will be looking at the topic, the role of HR in environmental sustainability and governance in organizations. The role of HR in environmental sustainability and governance in organizations. Our facilitator for tonight is one of our in-house regulars. He has spoken so many times, we've lost count and track, but we are always delighted and privileged to learn from his wealth of experience and garner insights as he teaches and communicates extensively professionally. Matthew Edegbe is first and foremost an HR professional. I would like to read briefly about his profile so that some of us who may be getting in contact with him for the first time can get better acquainted with him. Matthew Edegbe has over a decade of experience as a core human resource professional with strong background in consulting, manufacturing, construction, factory operations, and FMCG in general. Matthew's significant interests include and is not limited to human capacity advisory, organizational design and development, business leadership, people management and culture, talent acquisition and management, compensation and benefits, learning and development, HR project delivery, and data analytics. Matthew has successfully built and managed human capital management structure both in Nigeria, Central Africa, and also the Middle East. He holds a mini MBA with the Kedia Institute and has a Master's of Science in Business Administration from LASU, a Master's in Business Administration in Human Resources from Ahmadu Bello University, and also a Bachelor's of Science in Business Administration from Tansia University. Again, he has an ND National Diploma from Moshood Aboyola Polytechnic, as well as Executive Diploma in Human Resources from the Society for Human Resource Management. Furthermore, Matthew is also a project management professional, PMP, and a Prince 2 certified professional. Again, very importantly and relative to us tonight, is a member of the Chartered Institute of Personnel Management of Nigeria. Ladies and gentlemen, for the obtained time, it's my privilege and pleasure to present on this prestigious platform Matthew Edegbe as he speaks to us on the role of HR in environment, sustainability, governance in organization. You have the floor.
Thank you so much once again, Mr. Oluyemi Adeosun, for having me. I am always honored and delighted to speak about areas within the HR value chains with friends, colleagues, as well as senior professionals within the space. And of course, also an opportunity for me to learn during the question and answer section, and also the part of contribution from other professionals. And so today we are looking at the role of HR in environment, sustainability, and governance in organizations. And so I will tell you one truth, and that truth is that ESG is a framework or an existing platform that has been in existence in some organizations. It's just like the way diversity, equity, and inclusion is being taken so serious now in some organizations and in the part of the world. It's already existing, but it's just that it is not given serious attention to. And most professionals and notable bodies and government agencies, as well as some part of the world, are taking it so serious because of its contributing factors and contributing impact to the success and overall broad objective of businesses and organizations. So we cannot overemphasize the fact that ESG has so much role to play in our organization, but our role as human resources professional is also significant and important. And this is what we'll all dive in together as we learn together. And of course, when the time for question and answer comes and contribution, I also will be ready to attend to some of your questions and also learn from you. And so for the purpose of today, we are going to have a view of an introduction for what really ESG is about. And then we'll look at the global ESG overview. What is the world saying about ESG today? And then what is our role as HR professional then what speaks about collaboration and partnership when it comes to ESG, and of course, importantly, the best practices for ESG, and then we'll conclude about it. And so we want to talk about ESG. So this is just it. It's not one with so much record science about it. When I had the privilege to attend CFA webinar on ESG, it was in partnership with CFA International, CFA Nigeria. So we're just looking at it. I was like, there is nothing so special about this ESG actually. It's something that, some of us are already aware of it, but just that we've not really taken so much consideration in that area or that aspect of it. And of course, when we talk about environmental, when we talk about social, talk about governance, these are things that exist within our organization from the point of internal stakeholdership and to the part of external. That is just exactly what ESG is about. So most times when you see people talk about it and you see professionals comes out and say, this is what we want to do, people run and start, putting heads together to say, ESG, I don't know about ESG. I recall around sometimes last week, I think on Wednesday, no, Thursday, a CEO wrote to me. I think I put it up on my LinkedIn, and a CEO walked up to me and like, can you actually design a framework for us? And I was like, yeah, sure. It's not difficult. I said, but I would like to speak with the head of HR, and he promised me that the head of HR is going to be in this webinar today, so that while we plan to see how we design a framework for this organization, so we all just get to know that it's not really a rocket science like that. It's something that already exists within us in an organization, our respective organization. But of course, how do we narrow it down together with the job that we do daily and aligning it to the business objective of respective organizations? And so if we look at what we have here for different each of those areas, we say for the part of environment, in this context, environmental consideration involves understanding and addressing the impact of human activities on the environment. This includes mitigating pollution, conserving natural resources, reducing carbon emission, and promoting biodiversity.
Sorry?
So,
Yeah, sorry. I have a question.
so as I was saying,
Go on,
So
please.
as I was saying, you get to understand that our respective organizations, we already have some of these checks.
Let's unmute yourself, Matthew. Yeah. Just unmute. Hello, Matthew, you need to unmute yourself.
Yes, I have. I've done that. Okay, so like I said, it's not something that we are not aware of, but it's just that people are now looking at it from a different perspective. Now, taking you to the global overview, the first part of it is growing investors' interest. Investors are now looking at ESG. Deloitte said something in one of their university survey that 80% of global investors now consider ESG factors in their investment decision. So when investors now are now considering the position of ESG to the growing factor or to the growing consideration to the success of their businesses. And so for that purpose, they want to be sure that for every organization they want to put money into, the organization or the business objective has an alignment or a part of it that gives special consideration to ESG. Now, still on that, we have that ESG focused investment strategies are experiencing significant growth. So organizations that has deliberately paid time and attention to environmental issues, to social issues that usually and originally speaks within the organization in the part of employee experience, and then the other part of speak that speaks about governance within the organization. So investors are interested to see what you have, a blueprint or a document or a framework that speaks about it, because of course these three giants are significant factors that support growth within organization. And then for the part of regulatory push, regulatory bodies worldwide are increasingly mandating ESG disclosures. They want to know What is this framework that you have for environmental issues? What is your conversation or what is your policy in the area of social well-being, both for those individuals that are working with you and the environment where where the companies situate? And then what is your level and what is your strong level of governance in the terms of reporting line, stakeholders management, compensation and benefit for both people, individuals that are coming in, and talking about external stakeholders and internal stakeholders. What is your level of decision making? Investors are interested in knowing about it. And then the European Union Corporate Sustainability Reporting Directive, CSRD, requires sustainability reporting from large companies starting from 2024. So big organizations today now, at every close of the year, are now sending reports. They are sending feedback. They are sending closures about ESG. What happens within the organization concerning these three specific giants? I'm talking about environmental, social, and governance. They are interested to know what is it that you do. It's just like some companies today in Nigeria. There are some areas you want to go to, there are some meetings you want to attend, there are some biddings you want to go for, and they will ask you, where is your PENCOM certificate? They want to understand what is your where is your tax clearance from Federal Inland Revenue, respectively. So now, there are some notable organizations today and a part of the world where, apart from every of these documents, they want to see what has been your impact, what has been the impact of ESG to the organization, and what has been your level of consideration to ESG. There are similar regulations I imagine, in other regions. So when we talk about stakeholder focus as well, say consumers, employees, and communities are demanding more from companies regarding the ESG performance, because you cannot overemphasize the place that ESG so much has come to stay. Now, because it has come to stay, both employees as well, consumers, individual host communities where organizations are situated, wants to know what is your contribution, what is your consideration for environmental issues. What is your consideration when it comes to social responsibilities to within the organization, and then those individuals, that are outside? Then they also want to see your level of governance within the organization. They are interested to know this. And we cannot emphasize the play that organizations that don't have every of this in place today, they lose out when it comes to investors coming on board, and high level of stakeholder involvement and stakeholder management. And we cannot actually overemphasize this play. And I trust that organizations, would look so well to the impact and importance of ESG, and then to work on contributing it. Strong ESG practices enhances brand reputation, and it attracts top talent. I said in my introduction that just like diversity, equity, and inclusion wraps around from the top part of the world down to where we are, the part of Nigeria today. That is how ESG has come. Most talents are not interested now about what you want to pay. They're interested to understand the level and extent of the involvement in diversity. They want to understand and be sure that there is equity and there is high level of inclusivity within the organization. And so top talents are also now looking at what is obtainable, what is the organization's involvement when it comes to ESG, because you cannot overemphasize the place of employees and talent as the number one ambassadors of respective of some of these organizations. But when you don't have this, they wouldn't want to even just see how they want to come on board. And then risk management. ESG factors can pose significant financial risk, such as climate change, resource scarcity, and social unrest. Because when you don't have a good environmental framework for your organization, so of course with the support of notable stakeholders internally, and then respective government agencies that supports you on that, then the issues, there are so much factors, there's so much loss that you can have, because you keep on spending and bringing up budget for purpose of significant change in the areas of pollution that could come for the part of environment, and then resources scarcity when you don't have every of this availability of resources. Now, resources not just mean about, we talk about us referring to both human and material resources. And then social unrest, because of course, internally, employees who are supposed to, spend much more time on the social well-being and the social significant factors. I'm talking about the areas of employee experience, and then to the host community as well. You won't be able to do and think or focus towards in that area. Then proactive ESG integration helps companies to mitigate this risk and build resilience. So if we have ESG framework that speaks on supporting the areas of environmental, social, and the part of governance. And of course, what is so much important is that in building of this framework, it must align to the business and the corporate objective of the organization. Now, I've been able to carefully, narrow the involvement of the human resources with some significant example practices so that it can support our engagement and conversation for tonight. Now, for the part of environmental, practices related to managing the carbon footprint and climate sustainability of the business, especially for those of us that works, in manufacturing, FMCG, environment. You should be able to have a framework that speaks on how you are able to manage carbons and climate changes within the organization. You must be able to have something like that. And some top organizations, like I said, these are things that already happened. They're already happening in some of our organizations, just that there has not been so much eye on it. Let's look at some examples. Climate adaptive practices, responsible operations, resource management, workplace and space. So if most organizations that has safety, health, and environment as a department, you always have this departmental framework like this on how they manage cases and environmental issues that erupts within the organization as a result of production processes or manufacturing processes. They already have something like that exists. But I have so much experiences coming from the manufacturing environment. So they already have framework that speaks and manages areas like this. So you now realize that when you go back to your organization, you find out that these things actually are available and they actually exist within the organization. But it's just so unfortunate that there is so much eye and consideration in that part of it. Then let's look at the social. Practices associated with managing the workforce community and upholding human rights within your organization. So you give people so much level of engagement practices and experience practices within the organization. So there are opportunities for fair access to work, the opportunities of employee well-being, diversity and inclusion, human rights, labor standard, social issues impacting community. So every of these speaks so much for employee experience and employee engagement. So when we have framework that speaks on this within the organization, then the social part of it has been taken care of. So in the organization where you have HMO for your employees, irrespective of the cadre that they belong to. Then for organizations that are unionized, for companies that are unionized, the labor standard and the labor needs, and not just for them, for even those organizations that are not even unionized, what is the ambit of the laws saying for in respect to Nigerian labor laws? Is that what is obtainable within your organization? If they are what are obtainable in your organization, of course, you have been able to sort out the area of the social. And then there are fair access to work. People come into work not just because they want to come to earn a living. They want to come because it is something that they love to do. And when it comes to decision making within your organization, how well do you narrow the conversation? How well do you narrow engagement? Do you do town hall meetings? Do you do village meetings? It depends on the nomenclature that some of the organizations use to call it. How often do you speak to your team members when you want to make some decision? There are some companies today, once the head HR says this is what we want to do, that is it. Nobody comes to change it. There are some organizations today where the managing director or the group managing director comes to say hey guys, management, this is our decision, this is what we want to do going forward. And nobody says, sir, can we have everything? Nobody comes to say, sir, can we actually do a benchmarking with our competitors? Nobody comes to say anything. It just happened that way. So there is no level of inclusivity in decision making in some of these organizations. But we cannot say that there are some of this that we don't have organizations where these things happen. We do have some of them. Then governance. Practices related to transparency, trust, and ethical conduct. What is the code of conduct saying for respective roles within your organization? Are they being followed? Are there ethics within the organization that are not being followed? Or you don't even have ethics at all in your organization? And then what is the place for whistleblowing mechanism? Are people really, really safe if they come to whistleblow? I know of a colleague who's one time, I'm saying colleague because he also is a HR professional. And then we're just discussing and he was like, Machi, like something happening in the finance department, in the finance division of my company. I have so much evidence, but he is scared to say it out to the head of human resources. Now, to him, he feels that there is possibility that the head of human resources is also involved, or probably the head of human resources has a relation or a friend within this set of people that are doing this. And so for this reason, he doesn't want to whistle. So what kind of mechanism exists for whistleblowing within your organization? Are they of best practices? Are they of standard? And then when it comes to board and executive compensation, are they really of best practices? Are they really compensation? Are they really take home? Are they actually the board? Are your board actually composed within the standard of the Nigerian governance comparison as stated within the ambit of the law? Is that what it states? And what they earn, is it what they are also supposed to earn in the area for both compensation and part of benefits? Have you not given the board members or executive so much that they will not be able to speak when you make decision as a member of the management or as a member of the managing director? So as human resources professional, these are the areas that we should think. Let's go back and look at it. And then what is our stake for compliance reporting? How often do we do the actual compliance reporting? I once worked in one organization where Nigerian Immigration Services, because Nigerian Immigration Services, they come usually to expatriate environment twice in a year. The first time they come is to do the inspection, and then the other part is for compliance. And when they come for the part of inspection, they want to see the total manpower that you have for both local and expatriate. They also want to see the part of compensation. So, earlier in my induction, and I was told that there is a particular document we have prepared that we give to this regulatory body, including a Nigerian National Social Insurance Trust Fund, NSITF. We have they have a special payroll that shows what the contribution should look like compared to the original. So that is a default in compliance reporting, the serious default in compliance reporting. So that means that in the areas of governance, it's 0%. So in your own organization, what is obtainable? Are you actually doing the same thing, or you're not actually doing the same thing? What is your governance areas of it? So these are so much important part of it for us at HR, professional. Let's look at something that is so much part. So not only so much well designed, Academy for Innovative Human Resources gave this breakdown. Says for environmental, climate adaptive practices, responsible operations, resource management, workplace space, like I spoke earlier, for social, fair access to work, employee well-being, diversity, equity, and inclusion board, human rights, labor standard, and then for part of governance, code of conduct, ethics, whistleblowing mechanisms, board and executive composition, and board governance. So every of this speaks so much to what we should know and our so much involvement and our contribution to ESG agenda. But if you look at it very well, you realize that these are some of the things that are already existing within your organization. But probably you have not taken cognizant or given it a serious thought to know that it is not just an agenda, but there should be a framework, supporting it. Now, what is our strength as, because somebody when Mr. Oluyemi Adeosun posted it on LinkedIn, and some individuals came to my DM on LinkedIn. I was like, these things, what do we do? What's our take in as a child professional? Because we should be able, it's not just about saying that, okay, management ESG has come to place. How do we get involved? So this area speaks on how you get involved into it, because you are also part of a decision-making individual within your organization. You have some things that you have to just do. There's so much of alignment that comes to your part of it. So the part of culture and change management, as a child professional, we are experts in fostering company culture and leading, strategic initiatives in the areas of change management. Now, you see these skills that we have, that is just what we need. If you are being able to carry out change management, you are able to do culture change within your organization, culture management within your organization. These are the essential skills that you need in integrating ESG values into the core of your organization. The same strategy, that's doing your town hall meeting, going through the process of your employee, your colleagues accepting it, doing the part of town hall meeting, doing the part of learning and development, training them and ensuring that they understand the purpose of the change. Every of these processes is what you need to in the areas of ESG. Talent acquisition and management. As HR professionals, we play a key role in attracting and retaining a diverse and qualified workforce, which is also what's vital for strong ESG performance. So it is not just about saying you have vacancy and somebody just comes to your DM, please, I need a job. And you just say, okay, because this person needs a job, you want to give this person the job. It's fine. But you need to understand that a strong ESG performance needs the right and the qualified competitive talent who will come on board to support you in this area of the new drive that you want to think of, you want to move into. And you cannot overemphasize the fact that you need somebody who would help you. So every of these your strategies and your so much of involvement in attracting the best and the right of talent, these are the same strategies, these are the same skills that you need in ensuring that the workforce that you are trying to build together are individuals who will be ready to play significant role in the change management and the areas of support for environmental, social, and governance. Another strength that we have is the employee engagement and training. Today, globally, we play significant role in developing and implementing programs that educate and engage employees on ESG initiatives. That is what is happening in the world today. But because we have not actually known that these things that we do significantly one by one or part-time are actually so much strong in determining the success and the growth of our organization. So on ESG issues, we need to also see that we promote sustainable practices and a sense of ownership for the goal. So we must be ready to say that we want to do this. We must be prepared to say that we want this thing done. And it's not what you actually do alone. So we speak about the area of collaboration. It's not what you just need to see that every of these things exist in our company. Yes, we do this. We have a very strong and formidable division or department for safety, health, and environment. In fact, there are some organizations that even separate this in sets of responsibility. There's somebody who is a specialist in safety, there's somebody who is specialist in the area of health, and there's someone who is a specialist in the areas of environmental. And of course, in the human resources today, you have so much individuals who are specialists in the areas of employee engagement. You have specialists in the areas of employee experience. You even have specialists in the areas of employee well-being and mental advocacy. So we have individuals like this. Now, every of these individuals contributing their respective significant input to their core responsibility comes together to build a good agenda and framework for ESG. And so there is a place for diversity and inclusion for the ESG framework. There's a place for it. And so that place of it that I spoke earlier is that part that talks about social responsibility, stronger workforce, and investor and consumer preference. Now, for social responsibility, ESG presents a company's commitment to considering the impact of its business and societal and D&I. When I talk about D&I, I'm talking about diversity and inclusion. Is a key aspect of that. So whatever you want to do, when you can't come out to speak about ESG if your diversity and inclusion is not even strong. And so that's why I said that human resources professional, we play significant role for ESG. If we are able to speak, if we have been able to handle the part of diversity and inclusion, which I said earlier, that it is something that has been in existence so much. It's not coming in new. It's not something that is just, probably because of the impact of it and business owners, investors are speaking about it. Some organizations are now running to say, okay, can somebody build a framework for? I told a CEO, I said, with the organization that you are currently championing as the CEO, ESG is already existing. But if you want it to exist as a framework, I know a couple of individuals within your organization that are professionals in this part that will just come together to now say, okay, guys, let's do this. And within a stipulated turnaround time, this is done. So a diverse and inclusive, workforce foster a more just and equitable environment. For stronger workforce, D&I, helps to create a talent of pool that reflects the diversity of a customer base and communities, a company operates in. You see, there are some individuals you tell about that just want to just see what is your diversity, equity, and inclusion framework, how it looks like. It tells whether or not they want to come and work in your position or not. So as HR professional, you need to sort this part of it. And of course, another important is that investors and consumers are increasingly looking to invest in and support companies, with strong D&I practices. So if you don't have every of this in place for D&I, trust me, you're not ready to speak about, ESG. But of course, as HR professionals, we have limitations. Yeah, we have limitations. We have some things that can hold us back. We have some things that can, keep us at one spot. We have some things that may not actually, allow us to get the job done. And another one of it is limited scope. HR primarily focuses on internal workforce, but ESG encompasses a broader range of issues, including environmental impact and external stakeholder relations. So while we are just looking at workforce internally, ESG will take you out of your comfort zone. So if you are planning that you must have a framework for ESG or an agenda, it will take you out from your primarily, in quotes, your primarily day-to-day work, because it's bringing you out to what the environment is saying and also what external stakeholders are saying. And if we want to talk about external stakeholders, we're talking about both consumers, we're talking about government agencies and government MDs. We're talking about vendors as well. These are people, who are part of decision-making individuals within your organization. Then reactive approach. HR will often deal with employee concerns and implement policies. But when it comes to ESG initiative, HR needs to collaborate with departments like sustainability or environmental compliance. So these are individuals who already exist in there are some organizations that has directorates for sustainability. There are some organizations that have directorate for environment. So for organizations that are maybe small or at the medium level that don't have every of this, trust me, you already have some of these practices that exist within the organization or within your scope. So it's just a matter of you to just bring these individuals together to a level play. And you as a child sit at equilibrium to see what is going on, see what everyone is doing, and then, bring every of this together. So because another part of it is the metrics and data. We excel in people-related metrics like employee turnover and diversity statistics. These are part of what informs our monthly report to CEOs or our divisional heads. But when it comes to ESG, ESG requires a wider range of data collection and analysis beyond HRO's traditional expertise, because you will do benchmarking. You do benchmarking with your competitors. You do benchmarking, your level of involvement for environmental initiatives. You cannot just you have to get this through a collaboration with a specific department. And then your social responsibility and social involvement, you get this with a collaboration and partnership with a department, either internal or external, and then your level of governance as well. So these individuals comes to support you in doing this. And though collaboration is the key, you can't do it all alone. You need to collaborate with some set of people. Then I talk about sustainability. HRO and sustainability can collaborate to develop training programs on eco-friendly practices and integrate ESG value into the company culture. So you cannot just do this without this department or unit coming to support you. But of course, there are some individuals that can say that, oh, I know we don't have sustainability, within our company. Yeah, sure. But within the best positioning of our job day to day, you find out that there are some organizations where the HR is actually handling this. So we can actually design training programs that can speak, in these areas, get thought leaders, get subject matter experts who can come within the organization and then, give trainings in this area. And of course, finance and operation. ESG often involves cost consideration. So you don't just come and sit in front of management and tell them that we want to do, there are costs to it. So you have to partner with the finance, to exploit, cost-effective benefits, in the areas of public transportation subsidies, or by community programs. Operations can also collaborate on implementing sustainable practices, within workforce. So these are things that already happen. There are some organizations today that partners with some automobile industries to give them, buses to help in supporting some of these areas. And we are not of success to say that this thing does not really happen. It happens in some of the, there are some of you here today that your organization already has some cost-effective benefits for your public transportation for you guys. Yes, it happens, and I know of a notable numbers of organizations that for the privilege of my consulting, I've been able to meet with them, and some organizations that I've even worked as HR or factory HR manager. And then another one is the external stakeholder. I said earlier, you can't come up with an ESG framework or agenda without support from external stakeholders. So HR can, be involved in engaging with external stakeholders on social aspect of ESG. Now, this could involve collaborating with non-governmental organizations on diversity recruitment initiatives, participating in industry-wide discussions on labor standards. So we need to actually come out of our comfort. How many of you as HR professionals, attend external functions? How many of you attend induction programs? How many of you attend conferences and conventions? In this month of April alone, I have a total of five conference and convention, and even platforms that I'm going to be attending, including the Lagos State leadership program that is coming up in this month. I'm attending. In fact, today I've gotten my invitation for physical. So these are engagements. These are engagement that helps you. And so HR Expo did something over last week. Yeah, today is Sunday. So last week, they did something, and HR professionals gathered together, to learn. They gathered together to, to build network and understand what is happening within the HR industry and the HR space. And at that point in time, you also get to understand what is the labor law saying. Is there any new initiative, is there any new regulation that I am not abreast with? A notable individual was arrested for abuse of naira. I wouldn't want to mention him. And what this individual said was that he is not aware. He is not aware. That's what he said. And then the judge said something. Said ignorance is not an excuse. So now that was what was used against this young man. So as a HR professional, you won't say that you're not aware that there are conferences, conventions, and programs that you can attend to have a better understanding of labor standard or industry-wide discussions about what happens within the comfort of your job. You need to understand it, and that's why I told the CEO sometime in one of the interview I was privileged to attend. I told him, I said, Matthew Odigbe, I have left the back office and the support aspect of HR. I don't do that anymore. I'm now in the business part of it. The back office and support, I am done with it. There is no part of back office and support of HR that you will bring that I will not tell you about it. But the business and strategic part of HR is where I am dwelling on for now. So at this point in time, whatever I talk about, whatever I think about, I'm thinking about the objective of the business. I'm thinking about the strategic plan of the business. And you cannot want to introduce ESG without having a consideration and a thought of the strategic initiative and strategic plan of the organization. And so I trust that we actually want to consider this. And so let me just tell us why collaboration is so much important for you to be able to form every part of environmental, social, and then governance, shared challenges, and collective solution. Sustainability issues transcend individuals, companies. So collaboration allows for knowledge sharing and tackling problems, as a united front, to be it developing sustainable practice within industry or advocating for policy change. So if you choose to say that HR department, we're in charge of policy, we are going to be want to do this, we're going to be want to do that. And by the time you just bring it out, you just find that somebody will just come in the meeting and says, Matthew, please, every of this that you have written is not in alignment with the financial strategy for this year, for safety and health and environmental strategy for this year, for manufacturing standard for this year. By the time everybody starts speaking, you just realize that probably you have made a fool of yourself, because you have refused to call people together to tell them, guys, this is the initiative that I have. This is what I want us to do. This is how it is aligning to your own directorate, to your own division, and to your own people as well. Expertise and innovation. By working together, businesses can leverage the unique strength of each partners. For instance, an engineering firm might partner with an environmental NGO to develop a clean energy technology. I have my full residence here in Agbara, and of course, anybody that knows Agbara, you know that Agbara is an industrial environment. Before you walk 1, 2, you are seeing a company 1, 2. So when it comes to clean energy technology, wow, you will see it in some of these organizations today. And it didn't just come out because somebody wants to spend money. It is coming out because it is a fundamental. It is something that should exist. It's something that should exist, and it's something that should exist within us too as our respective organization. But if you just come to just say, no, this is how we want to do it, engineering or safety guys or environmental, this is what I think you guys should do, and do it this way. They'll just look at you, and as soon as you're done talking, they'll just allow you to go. Transparency and trust. Collaboration can foster open communication among stakeholders, leading to more transparent ESG practice and increased trust, not just from investors alone, but from consumers. So everybody now sees that, oh, right, what Matthew really wants us to do is this. I was privileged to speak somewhere. An HR professional called me to speak, and we were just talking about change management. And I told him about a very popular manufacturing company today. I wouldn't want to mention the name for the purpose of but some of us know them. They call themselves the Sabi people. So there's a Sabi employee. I think I've given you a hint. And before now, so many people do not really know. We know them because of what they manufacture, but most people do not really know too much about them. But somebody went there, a very senior human resources professional went there, spent 5 or 8 months for the purpose of transformation. And now investors are running into that organizations When it comes to sales and output of production, people are going in there to buy and people are coming in there to collaborate with them. Now, because he did what? He came on board to do transformation in the areas of people, in the areas of practice, in the areas of process, in the areas of platform, and in the area of price too. And then the areas of people, of course, moving people to the right place and where they are supposed to work. And when people saw this strategic initiative, they fell in love with and that organization. And it got to a time that everybody wants to work with this organization. But somebody came to say that this is what we should do. And so, as HR professional today, you can actually come up with something that would work for your organization, and that is an ESG agenda or an ESG framework. That, but you need to go through the process of understanding what it is about, aligning it to the strategic plan, sit with the strategic plan of your organization or the strategic objective of the business, and then you see how you'll be able to, draw this out and ensure that there is a proper, alignment to it. Because every of this is what determines whether or not investors will come or whether or not there's going to be growth in the part of, consumers. And then best practice, very, very important as I prepare to close. Very, very important for best practices. First part of it is you need to engage leadership. And I said earlier in previous, I said, it is something that we are always doing as HR professional, especially when you want to do change management or culture change. You must first of all get the buy-in of top management. I'm correct. I'm correct. You don't just bring in change. No, you must get the buy-in. So this strategy that we use in getting the buy-in of change management or culture change, that is the same strategy you will use for ESG initiative. And then integrate ESG into HR practice. Embed ESG consideration into recruitment, performance management, and employee development processes. Of course, when you have a need for a fundamental change, by the time you are carrying out recruitment or diversity, equity, and inclusion, when you have that within, by the time you want to do recruitment, performance management, or employee development processes, every of these for change and culture management, as well as diversity, equity, inclusion, the way you handle it, that is the same way you will do the integration for ESG into your HR practice. Now you see that these things are something that we actually been doing, but it is not, they are not actually seated as a framework or as an agenda. And importantly, you need to measure and communicate the impact. Establish clear metrics for tracking ESG progresses, communicate results internally and externally. This is the same thing we do when it comes to change management. This is the same thing we do when it comes to culture change. The same way we do that, we develop matrices, indices, hypotheses for you to be able to, manage the progress level. And the same way we do it, that is the same way we're also going to do that for ESG. So because you also need to communicate progress level for those individuals that are internal, talking about employees and the management, and then for externals, I'm talking about government agencies, your vendor management, talking about the host communities and every of these. So these are the same thing that we need to do, and they are so much important that if you cannot escape every of these three best practices. Although there are other literatures that speak other best practices, but trust me, every of these literatures that talks about the best practices for ESG are all aligned into these three parts of it. So in conclusion, as I wrap up, HR plays a crucial role in driving ESG initiative within the organization. We play a very crucial role, if not about 60%, because the same level of, okay, let me not use 60% for the purpose of metrics definition, but the same level of percentage and the same level of impact that we play in change management and culture management and introduction of diversity, equity, and inclusion within our organization. You see that level of impact, that is the same level that we'll use for ESG. Now, by integrating ESG principles into HR practices, companies and organizations can foster sustainable growth. That's one, very important. Attract top talent. And the last but not the least is to enhance your reputation within the market. Competition amongst top FMCGs, competitions amongst top manufacturing organizations today in Nigeria is not just about the name. The name speaks, I agree, but it's not just about it. It's about what is your financial, what is your market share in the country globally, and what are your talents saying? What are they saying about your organization? I am in the best position to tell you about my organization, not what a brand ambassador says. I'll be the one to tell you what happens internally. So, but if there is no good practices coming from your own part as a HR professional, then guess what? You have people who will not be ready to stay. Even if you bring the right talent comes in, the right talent will eventually leave because there is no sustainable practice, or they cannot envisage growth within the organization. Yeah, thank you so much. So I'm open for questions and, of course, contributions from everyone.
Thank you so much, Mr. Matthew, for that excellent presentation as always. If you have any questions or comments or contributions, let's indicate, raise our hands, and we'll quickly acknowledge our presence and give us the floor. And if there are no hands, we are happy to call it a wrap. Okay, I don't see any hand. And I really don't see any comment. All right, thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. And thank you most exclusively to our facilitator, able and capable facilitator, Matthew Edigbe, for doing justice to the topic. Please do have a lovely week ahead. Good night, everyone.
Thank you.